is Friday night, hangout, creating our stories, piece by piece. This is Friday night, hangout, creating our stories, piece by piece. Exploring limitless opportunities, illuminate our path, amplify our impact. Oh, it's Friday night hangout. Ooh, it's Friday night hangout. It's safe space for ideas.
Are you feeling stuck in your business, professional, or personal life? Or are you struggling to find purpose and direction? Imagine having a clear sense of direction, achieving your goals, and living a fulfilling life. Joy Onyesoh Coaching Consult is here to help you. We will work with you to identify your strengths, overcome obstacles, and develop a personalized plan to achieve your dreams. With our coaching and consulting services, you will gain clarity, confidence, and the tools you need to succeed. Do not let fear, lack of clarity, or doubt hold you back any longer. Take the first step towards achieving your goals and living your best life. Contact Joy Onyesoh Coaching Consult today. Joy Onyesoh Coaching Consult, empowering you to reach your full potential. Call, SMS, or WhatsApp +234 704 229 1171. Or you can visit our website www.joyonyesohcoachingconsult.com. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first episode of Friday Night Hangout this exciting month. This is a month where we celebrate women. So I'm excited. But before we go right in, remember the conversation we had last week, which was on clarity in mindset, finding calm in chaos. It was really a very interesting conversation. We understood what clarity of mindset is all about, and we got some strategies that can help us to remain calm in chaos. And a number of us shared our own experiences as some of the ways that we find calm in chaos. You know, in the month of February, we really looked at different aspects of clarity. We tried to understand what clarity means and how we can, gain deep understanding of different aspects of our lives. And so tonight, I'm excited to ask you to join me as you celebrate that woman in your life, be it your mother, your sister, your daughter. The whole month of March is dedicated to celebrating women. And so for us at the Friday Night Hangout Studio, we're dedicating the month of March to discussions on invest in her. So welcome. If this is your first time of joining us at the Friday Night Hangout, welcome. My name is Joy Onyesoh. This is our episode 244. Yes, you heard that right. This is season 2 and episode 244. Today, I'm particularly excited because each time we are talking about women. Someone asked me some time ago, why is it that everything's about women? I said, women are very integral to the sustainability of life as you see it today. And so if you do not recognize that women are very integral, just look around you. I'm not saying that we don't have exceptions to the rule. And, God created different roles for women, different roles for men, but it's important that we celebrate women. And so in this beautiful match, we're going to be exploring the different ways women have contributed to sustainable development of the society. But for us in this studio, we're more focused on talking to that woman out there, talking to ourselves, looking at ways we can invest in ourselves. How do you invest in yourself to make yourself more productive, to make sure that you are good? And I will ask you this: when was the last time you intentionally invested in your own well-being? When was the last time you invested in your own well-being. And that's why tonight we're going to be talking about investing in self-care as a game changer. I'm not talking about any other person but you watching me, you listening to me or watching the replay. How are you, intentional in investing in yourself? But before we go on, I want you to like, click, share. Follow us on Power Woman TV. We have Power Woman TV on YouTube channel. We also have the Friday night hangout on the YouTube channel. You can also like and subscribe to our Facebook page, right? So you don't miss any of our episode. Now, the International Women's Month is a very intentional month that is crafted to let us know about the gains we have made as women, in supporting women in building a sustainably developed society. We want to look at the gaps and then we try to close up the gap. So I want you to just take a moment and reflect. When was the last time, or when did you intentionally, invest in self-care that created a change? It could be something you may feel as little as, working on your diet. It could be something as little as you may think is little. I'm just using that word because everything adds up. So it may be that you started exercising. It may be that you started resting. What is, I want you to take time to reflect on that and then write it down. Because sometimes we forget to look at the patterns we have. We're focused outwardly without looking at the inward aspect of us. I remember, like, it was 2 weeks ago, I kept on feeling this fatigue. And, at some point I developed fever. I was having constant headache and I went to see the doctor. He said, did some checks, reviewed my last results. And he said, you just need to rest. You just need to slow down, take it easy and rest. And that's why I want to share with us today the importance of self-care. We're used to putting everyone on the front burner but ourselves. And if you're married and then you have kids, it even becomes more complicated. You think about every other person but you. So I'm hoping that at the end of this conversation, you would understand that you are very important and you need to take care of yourself. You need to invest in taking care of yourself. It has to be a priority. So when you're writing down your goals for March, please write down the goal of self-care. We find a lot of women these days getting sick, one form of ailment or the other, one disease or the other, dropping dead, a whole lot of things happening because we're thinking about every other person but ourselves. So this is not about being selfish. This is about you being pragmatic and you being intentional that you want to stay for the long haul, right? Now, why there's some of the things we're going to be looking at today is why do we as women, why do we have that tendency of putting ourselves last? If you're just joining in, welcome. We're talking about self-care as a game changer. And this month we're looking at Invest in Her, which is in commemoration of the International Month of Women. If you do not know, March is globally celebrated as a Women's Month. So from 1st of March to the 31st of March, we're dedicating it to conversations on women. So I want to see you use the hashtag TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Let me know where you're joining in from. Let me know, some of the ways you intentionally take care of yourself while we have the conversation, that is going on. You can also use hashtag FNH with Joy Onyesoh. So why is it that we put ourselves, oftentimes, not all the time, oftentimes we put ourselves last? The first is the cultural expectation that women are nurturers, women are caregivers, and so we are taking care of every other person. And the question is, who takes care of you? So you watching me and you listening to me, I'm asking you that question, who looks after you? What are some of the cultural burdens you're carrying that you feel you have to show up even when you're sick? You don't want to go to the hospital. You think it's a waste of funds to go check yourself out, but you will take care of the children. You will take care of your husband. You will take care of your in-laws. You will take care of everybody but yourself. I want you to think deeply about it. That is not humility, and that is not sustainable. You want to do all these activities and still be alive to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So if you want to be, you want to be in the lives of your loved ones for a long time, you need to be intentional in investing in taking care of yourself. We play a lot of caregiving role. There's that expectation. So I came across some posts, I think that was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the conversation was around who is supposed to take care of the in-laws. Is it your wife? Is it your sister? And then if a parent has kids, male and female, why is there always the assumption that it's the female child that should automatically take care of the parents, right? In terms of caregiving roles. And that's because of the cultural expectations. There's always this pressure on us as women to show up for everyone, to be the power woman, not to, if you say you're sick, people think you're acting up. You have multiple hands like an octopus, where you're expected to work, come back, do children's assignments, cook, clean, and then they'll be asking you, what have you been doing? Because most of the caregiving roles that we embark on are not tangible. So oftentimes it's not easy to measure what we're doing, and it's often thought that, oh, we have a lot of time on our hands. Now, there's also that understanding that self-care is luxurious. So when we talk about self-care, we automatically think, oh, you must go to one getaway, one out-of-country place, or do one thing, and that's self-care. It's beyond that. So I want us to unpack what self-care really means. Self-care is you being intentional about your emotional, your mental, your physical, and your spiritual well-being. So you're making sure that you understand your emotions, you're able to manage your emotions, and you understand what your triggers are, and you don't allow yourself to be triggered unnecessarily. You also want to make out time for proper rest. See, rest is often underrated. You see, rest is often underrated. You can't keep running 24/7. There has to be an intentional effort to slow down, smell the roses and rest. Now, it's also important that you set healthy boundaries so that you teach people how to value you and you also value yourself. If you're not able to set healthy boundaries, people will be all over you. They will drag you here, they will drag you there, and you find that you'll be saying yes to everything. You find yourself saying yes to everything. Even when you should say no, you will say yes. People come to you for a shebi. You know it is not convenient for you at that time. It will stretch you beyond your elastic limit. You will say yes. People ask, oh, can you give me a helping hand to organize this event? You will say yes. So you're saying yes to everything but yourself. I want you to think about it this way. For every no you give out there is you saying yes to yourself to do something else, to attend to your priorities. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be taking a short break. And when we come back from the short break, we're going to be looking at self-care as a leadership and life strategy. So if you want to grow your skill set as a leader, and if you want to have a sustainable strategy for your life, then you must inculcate self-care. How can we do that? And what are the benefits of doing this? Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. In the next couple of minutes, I'll be back with you. Ever feel like you're running on autopilot, but deep down, you know there's more to your story? That's where Clarity Lounge comes in. We're creating a space for women to pause, reflect, and gain clarity on their goals and purpose. I am Joy Onyesoh, your clarity and focus coach, and I look forward to welcoming you to the Clarity Lounge Masterclass. In this masterclass, you'll get expert coaching to help you overcome self-doubt and achieve a boost in your confidence. You also get our proprietary clarity framework to guide your decision making, goal setting, and result-focused actions. Connections with like-minded women who support and uplift you. You will also learn risk and trade-off analysis and intentional goal setting architecture and much more. Join us on March 21st, 2026 for in-person 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. limited slots. Imagine having a clear vision for your next 6 months, a support system that drives your success, the tools to overcome obstacles and stay focused, and a personalized plan using our clarity framework. You want to take the first step towards clarity? Get registered, and I'll see you at the Clarity Lounge. That's the Clarity Lounge, and I also want to extend that why do you need to do this? When we talk about leadership, we're looking at ways of influencing people, to achieve a common goal, right? And for you to be able to influence people, for you to get people to buy into a vision, you must be able to think clearly. You must have clarity of thoughts. And it's difficult for you to have clarity of thoughts if you're exhausted. When you're exhausted, it's difficult for you to make the right decisions. You'll be making sentimental or emotional driven decisions rather than making decisions that are based on facts. Right? So, as a good leader, or if you want to hone your leadership skill, one of the things you have to invest in is in your self-care. You have to make out time to reflect. You need to be able to set boundaries. So all who come around you, those who are in your space, would know this is what is acceptable. This is what we cannot do. This is how far we can push. They would know, oh, this is how far we can go. This is the culture. This is the culture we have here. So it takes clearer decision making for all of this to happen. And that comes as a way of setting boundaries, resting, reflecting, and all of this is self-care, getting to know who you are. Some of us don't even know who we are. And for you to know who you are and to be an effective leader, then you need to be able to study yourself, know your triggers, understand your emotions, manage your emotions. And you also want to be able to manage them, understand the emotions of others so you can relate with them at that level. So you can't escape self-care if you want to be an effective leader. You want to have life strategy for achieving your goals. What is strategy? Your strategy is your how to get things done, how to achieve that goal, the process and the systems you put in place, right? And it's only someone who is intentional about looking at all of these things can achieve those results. If, for instance, you're not physically capable, it's going to affect you. If you're sick, there's a limit to what you can do. Your body is tired. You'll be bleeding on people, and it's going to be difficult for people to even understand what you want. Talk more of following your direction, right? So the advantages of self-care in your leadership journey is one, it helps you to think clearer. It helps you to make more effective decisions, right? That is based on evidence, that is based on data. And then you're able to build emotional resilience. It's not everything that comes your way that will knock you off. There's some of us, every little storm we come across, you're disoriented. You cannot function. You cannot show up. Everyone will know there's something wrong with you. It takes a level of emotional resilience to keep showing up even when it's difficult, to get things done when you need to get things done. You lose someone. I know we grieve differently, but when you lose someone and there's something that is so strategic that needs to happen, oh, I need to do this and hand over, then I can go back and, grieve. You just know what you need to do. You not when things happen to you, want everyone to go through that emotion with you, and you create chaos in the process. So these are those people that wear their emotions on the sleeve. Very little thing triggers them. Very little thing happens and everything stops. Everything comes to a complete halt. So if you create chaos and uncertainty around you, and that's not a skill, not one attribute or characteristics of a leader. right? So you want to be very intentional about that. So you want to hone your leadership skill, you need to invest in self-care. Now, what are some practical ways as women that we can invest in ourselves? What are some of the things that we can do? Remember, I said earlier on that self-care doesn't necessarily mean that you must go on fancy, expensive holidays. It's more about your daily habit, the little actions you take every day that compounds into the bigger picture. So one thing you can do is to intentionally have your quiet time. I know, yeah, you say, oh, it's not possible. I have children everywhere. They're still so young and da 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 da. Da. I understand you. When you have a little child, let's say a baby, when your baby is sleeping, that's not the time for you to want to do all the work in the house. Program it. You do some, you lay to rest. Have that time for yourself to put yourself in order. I recall some years back, I saw a mother with a newborn baby and she was holding the baby, she was crying. I was walking along the street then to go visit a friend, and I just saw her. She was seated outside the compound and she was crying. You know, these compounds that are not gated, right? And she was just crying, holding it. I saw elderly women coming in. Lifted the baby and they were asking what is it. She's exhausted, had to go sleep. Now, these are things that, you know, this was those years when you find that people really care. Now everyone is so busy with life. People will even be afraid to come and ask you why you crying with your child, or they'll name it one thing that you won't get the help you require. So that's why you need to be intentional about helping yourself. So plan deliberately to have your quiet time. If you're a mother of a newborn, when your child is sleeping, make out time to sleep. The work will not finish in the house, or housekeeping in the house, there will always be one thing or the other to do. Then if you have young adults in the house, or you have teenagers or adolescents, let them begin to understand that mommy needs some time. Even if it's 30 minutes, if it's 40 minutes, or it may be late at night, you make a time to just sit with yourself and anchor yourself. Because part of the challenge of having the mental thing is you're not anchored on anything, everything is happening and you're feeling overwhelmed. But when you can intentionally have a quiet time and you just take that time to just breathe in and out, put a whole lot of things in perspective, you're better able to move ahead. One of the things that I find that works most for me is late at night. Before I go to bed, I make a down time to reflect on my activities for the whole day. I looked at what worked and what did not work. What did I do better, or what am I supposed to work on? And I just sit in it, think about myself. How can I help myself better? Sometimes you may not feel like talking. That's okay. It happens. So if you feel that you're so burdened, you're so weighed down, you don't need to pretend to be okay when you're not okay. That's not what resilience means. No. Resilience is not about you pretending to be okay when you're all broken and shattered. No. You must have a coping strategy. And one of the things that helps you develop a coping strategy is having your quiet time, having that time to study yourself, understand what triggers you, what makes you work, and all of that. And then you can find out ways of coping when things, are not going the way you want it to go. The other thing you can do is journaling. Sometimes when you think about it, it might not make so much sense to you. I'm someone that I get a lot of relief by writing, right? So if you're that kind of person, it doesn't matter if the thoughts are coherent or not, just write. There's a release that comes when you're able to journal how you feel, what you feel, no limitations, no restrictions. You're just writing. And by the time you're reading through that, it gives you a sense of the state of your mind and a whole lot of things, right? So being intentional too with journaling is very important. Then I can't emphasize enough the benefits of setting healthy boundaries. You don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to. You cannot please everyone. If you want to be nice to everyone, so everyone will call you a good person, my dear, you're going to drain yourself. You're going to stretch yourself beyond the elastic limit. And you know what? You still wouldn't be called that nice guy. So set boundaries. Know what is comfortable for you. And for you to set boundaries, you must identify your priorities. When you identify what your priorities at every point in time, you know the boundary to set. And that's what we call healthy boundaries. Not just any boundaries. boundaries that are not discriminatory, boundaries that do not create harm for others, but just safeguard your space when you need to safeguard your space, right? Now, you can also invest in yourself by investing in your personal growth and learning. The day you stop learning, that day you start dying. Learning is something that will happen to you take your last breath, because we never really graduate from the school of knowledge. Knowledge is something we keep accumulating. Just by waking up every morning, you are set to acquire another level of experience, because you engage with today, you engage with different people, it gives you another perspective of life. So you must be intentional in investing in yourself. What are the gaps in your knowledge? What do you want to learn? How do you want to make sure that you're growing in a sustainable way? That when life throws storms at you, you're able to take the learning points and work on it and apply it, so that you don't make the same mistakes, or that you're able to jump over such hurdles when they present itself. One other thing I find that works a lot in investing in yourself is investing in your spiritual and emotional renewal. Man, woman, we are all spiritual and emotional beings. That is why you have different kinds of emotions. You feel sad, you feel happy, you feel excited, you feel overwhelmed, all of these emotions. So if you're not able to understand your emotions, if you're not able to understand what triggers you, if you don't have an understanding of how to manage your emotions, you're not going to have very sustainable relationships, because it takes a level of emotional intelligence to relate with people. You don't just do things as you like. You get to understand yourself, you get to understand how to manage your emotions, then you now know how to work with other people based on where they are. So it's not, oh, this is how I am, this is how I talk, this is how no, that's not that. You need to invest in understand. Emotional intelligence is one topic we're going to treat on some other day, because a whole lot of relationships are going south because we're not investing time in understanding our emotions and in renewing our emotions. Sometimes your emotions are depleted because of what you're going through or what life has presented at you. That's okay. But how do you now renew your emotions? What works for you? You need to identify how you renew your emotions. Now, we're all spiritual beings. And if you don't believe an anchor is something greater than you, you begin to question the meaning of life. You begin to feel so sad and depressed, because human beings are spiritual by nature. And that's why you find someone is either they are worshiping the traditional way, or they are Christians, or they are Muslims or something, because we need to anchor something greater than ourselves. And so I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and that's what I do know. And I will encourage you, whatever it is that you believe in, I believe in Christ, and that's what I do know. So whatever it is that you believe in that works for you, please make sure you're anchored. Very, very important. So you need to also renew your spiritual mind. What are some of the ways I renew myself? Prayers, worship, meditation. So studying the word, the scriptures, they make me come alive. It makes me build my faith and have hope that my tomorrow will always be better than today. And that's what keeps you going, that when storm hits you, when challenges hit you, because you're anchored, you would know that this doesn't define your future. This only shapes your experience, and that your future is so, so bright. So please, you need to find practical ways. And I'm asking you today, what are some practical ways you have developed for, investing in yourself? Write it down. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write down that vision, make it clear, so that all who read it may do what? Run with it. So if you don't write it down and make it clear, even you will forget. So in this month where we're talking about investing, I'm asking you, start from yourself. Before you think about investing in some other person, start investment from yourself. What are some practical ways you're going to invest in yourself? At least list 3 or 4 things you need to do to invest in yourself. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything luxurious. Because so as we wrap up the conversation today, remember that we talked about that this month is a month of women. We are going to be celebrating women, and we're going to be looking at different ways of investing in women. We started off by looking at what the self-care means, the different aspects of self-care. We looked at some of the challenges why most of us do not invest in self-care. We looked at the benefits of self-care, and finally we looked at practical ways of investing in ourselves. We also talked about self-care as a leadership and life strategy. So this is something you don't want to live without. You want to look at it, you want to start implementing right away. So I want you to use the comment section. Tell me what are some of the things you're walking away from this session with. You know, I always love to read from you. So let me know, what are some of the things you're walking away from this session? If you have any question, now is the time to put it in the comment section. We want to get your feedback. I'm here to answer your questions, and we're here to just share. Recall that this is an interactive audience. People will read. You're also sharing your experience for all of us to read, and growing our experience. And if you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe the Friday Night Hangout. If you missed any of our programs so far, this is episode 244. You can as well go to the Friday Night Hangout, and there are a lot of our previous episodes for you to study, to watch, take notes, and all of that. Now, Sunday is International Women's Day. What are you going to be doing? What are you going to celebrate? What are you going to be doing that day? I want you to think about it and be very intentional, right? Next week, we're continuing the conversation on Invest in Her, and we're going to be looking at, next week, we're going to be looking at investing in skills, and we're going to be looking at upskilling for success. So how can we start looking at your skill set? How do you now, because we talked about personal growth, right, as one way of investing in yourself as a woman. So we're going to be looking at your skills. How can you upskill for greater impact? Let me tell us something. Now, a woman who invests in herself multiplies her impact. So you want to multiply your impact, you want to expand your sphere of influence, invest in your care, in your skill set. Now, self-care is also something that restores your strength and gives you clarity. So if you want to gain clarity, you want to gain deep understanding, please start practicing self-care. And not just, I practice self-care. Please write it down. What are the practical ways of practicing self-care, right? And just also note that an empowered woman empowers community. You cannot empower anyone if you're not empowered. You cannot give what you do not have. Thank you, Livia. She says she will make out time for herself no matter the situation. That's the kind of comment I want to see. A commitment to herself. The tip for the International Women's Day for 2026 is invest to gain. And so if you want to empower people, you need to get empowered. If you want to, gain clarity and all that, practice self-care. If you want to multiply your impact, then you need to invest in yourself. So I want you, as we wrap up for our conversation for this week, I'm encouraging you, I want you to take one intentional self-care action this weekend. What are you going to do this weekend? Just one. I'm not asking for two. This weekend, here we get actionable strategies that we run with, right? We start implementing right away. So what is one intentional self-care action you'll be taking this week? I want to read it in the comment section, right? And then I want you to also reflect, where do you feel drained? And where do you need renewal? And then can you also commit to supporting and uplifting another woman? When you are done with yours, can you look around you and identify another woman that needs support and upliftment? A queen fixes the crown on another queen's head. There's no competition, there's no comparison. We're all in our different lane, shining our light so brightly. Thank you so much for tuning with us. Thank you for all of you who have been viewers for Friday Night Hangout. Without you, there will not be us. I really appreciate the Friday Night Hangout loyal community. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to read from you, to engage with you. And don't forget, if you haven't registered for the Clarity Lounge Masterclass, talking about navigating your path, then you want to register for it. The link is already in the comment section, and you can use the link to register. So follow JOCC on different platforms, share this replay, invite someone next week, subscribe to Power Woman TV. And from myself and the team at the Friday Night Hangout Studio, is bye for now. I love and celebrate you, and I look forward to seeing you next week Friday. Remember, we're still celebrating women in the International Women's Month. Bye for now. Love you all. Ever feel like you're running on autopilot, but deep down, you know there's more to your story. That's where Clarity Lounge comes in. We're creating a space for women to pause, reflect, and gain clarity on their goals and purpose. I am Joy Onyesoh, your clarity and focus coach, and I look forward to welcoming you to the Clarity Lounge Masterclass. In this masterclass, you'll get expert coaching to help you overcome self-doubt and achieve a boost in your confidence. You also get our proprietary clarity framework to guide your decision making, goal setting, and result-focused actions. Connections with like-minded women who support and uplift you. You will also learn risk and trade-off analysis and intentional goal setting architecture and much more. Join us on
This is Friday.